ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Today is National Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Day, and if you are not familiar with what that is or what that means, this is the day that commemorates the first publication of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic books, as well as also the animated series, but just the overall debut of the TMNT. And not only is today National Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Day, and this year is particularly special because this is the 40th anniversary of the lean green pizza eating machines. So in order to talk about this in any meaningful way, I actually wanted to sit down and tell you guys about one of my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story arcs of all time. That story arc being City Fall. This is a story arc that takes place in the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, starting at issues number 21 up to issue number 28. What makes this story arc so interesting to me is because this is the story arc where Leonardo joins the Foot Clan. There's a few moving parts to this, but the long and short of it is that when Raphael and Casey Jones are out fighting crime and end up running afoul of the Foot Clan, in that battle, Casey Jones is caught off guard and captured, and this leads to Raphael flying into a berserker rage, one where he is incapable of saving his friend and someone who he effectively views as his brother. And for those that are unfamiliar with the IDW universe, in this particular universe, Raphael meets Casey Jones before he meets his own brothers, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Leonardo, as well as Master Splinter. In this particular version of the TMNT canon, Raphael is separated from his brothers once they become mutated. So Casey Jones is the first family he actually knows. And even though Casey Jones and Raphael are super close, Casey Jones became friends with and is even considered family by both Splinter and the Turtles. So you would imagine that the Turtles would feel a particular way about learning that someone who they view as a brother has been captured. So the Turtles go in to try and save their friend and brother Casey Jones, only to get there and discover that Shredder has now stabbed him in the stomach with his trademark gauntlets. And this leads to Raphael flying into a rage, one that only Master Splinter can pull him back from. And while Leonardo is attempting to help his brothers Donatello and Michelangelo go toe-to-toe with the Shredder himself, when Leonardo tries to throw himself into the fight to help them, he is taken down by both Karai and a new character who was introduced in this universe known as Alopex, a snow fox who at a later point in time received the same mutagen that turned the Turtles into what they are today. And in capturing Leonardo, all of this was done while the Turtles were so busy trying to get Casey Jones and April O'Neil to safety, they lost track of Leonardo, and they didn't realize that he had been captured until it was too late. Leonardo was already in the Foot Clan's clutches, and while in those very clutches, Leonardo's mind was wiped. His memories rewritten by Shredder's romantic partner, Kitsune, an elder god and sister of the Rat King. The immortal Kitsune used her power to brainwash Leonardo into believing that Splinter and the rest of the Turtles were his enemies. They weren't his family. They weren't anyone who he should be connected to on any familial level. And she also rewrote his memories to believe that Shredder was his true mentor and master, and someone who he saw as both family and friend. This is what ultimately led to Leonardo crossing swords with Splinter and his brothers. Not only did he join the Foot Clan, but he also became Shredder's Chunin, a Japanese expression for second in command in the ninja world. Now you're probably sitting here wondering, if Leonardo was made Shredder's second in command, what about his granddaughter Karai, who was the entire reason that Shredder was brought back to life in the first place? Truth is, this was all a part of Shredder's plan. The reason why he brought Leonardo into the fold was to make Karai jealous, and in doing so, galvanizing her into proving to Shredder through her own actions behind the scenes in an effort to take the Foot Clan back. This is what led to her training a portion of the Foot Clan in her own way and discovering who were the strongest of the Foot Clan trainees among them, and this is what led to the creation of Bebop and Rocksteady, and even ultimately later down the road, the characters Koya and Bludgeon. And we'll talk about Bebop and Rocksteady a bit more on another video, but getting back to it, this was Shredder's effort to temper Karai into becoming his true Chunin, and this would lead to Karai and Leonardo butting heads while they were both serving on the Foot Clan together, but in the end, it wasn't meant to last forever. You would imagine by the time we get to the end of the story arc, Leonardo would at some point go back to being his normal self, and in a roundabout way he kind of does, but it's not just magically hand-waved away by the end of the story arc. When we get towards the end, he gains his memories back thanks to his mother, Tang Shin, reaching out to him from beyond the grave, helping him remember the truth about how Shredder had murdered him and the rest of his family back in their original lives in feudal Japan. And while this helped Leonardo realize that Shredder was in fact his enemy, not his friend, it didn't necessarily mean that everything was wine and roses after the fact. Even though City Fall ends at issue number 28 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Leonardo still felt the effects of that brainwashing and the PTSD that followed realizing what he had done, what he had been through, and he didn't just rush back into his brother's and his father's arms as if nothing had ever happened. He struggled with trying to understand what was real, what wasn't, and trying to cope with his place in the world. This was something that lasted multiple issues after City Fall, leading up into the number 40 issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The only truly good thing that came out of Leonardo's time as a member of the Foot, at least in terms of things that benefited the Turtles, was that the black bandana that Leonardo had worn during that time, he gifted to the mutant snapping turtle, Slash, yet another character we'll talk about in the coming weeks. And this also highlighted just how cunning Shredder truly was, just in the fact that he was able to completely destabilize the Turtles and in a roundabout way force them into doing things they normally wouldn't want to do, like working with Old Hob. That's just how much of a threat level Shredder possessed as opposed to what he had in the original Mirage comics when he got pieced up within like the first issue. This is a far more cunning Shredder than anything we've ever seen before, and he was able to completely turn Leonardo heel against his brothers. This story arc was just so amazing because we got to see Leonardo in a light that we normally don't get to see him. It was also one of the rare instances where I felt that a comic did a good job of the brainwashed hero acting uncharacteristic of themselves type of story. Normally when these types of story arcs are done, everything is just hand waved away as if nothing ever happened, and this one did not do that at all. And then, as a matter of fact, there are even moments even after the point where it seems like Leonardo has gotten himself back together where you see that sometimes he still thinks about it. He still remembers sometimes the person he became, and the Foot Clan version of Leonardo is not something that just disappears forever. It is something that even comes back up during the more recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story arc, Armageddon Game. It's in that particular story arc where Leonardo has to accept the fact that the person he was during his time being a member of the Foot Clan did not just happen because he was brainwashed, but because that was an actual part of him. And while I was glad to see that Leonardo went back to his leaderly ways, being a part of Clan Hamato and later the Splinter Clan, I do sometimes wonder if we'll ever see Foot Clan Leonardo again. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.